Baseball season is here at last, and the excitement continues all season long at DraftKings.com, the official daily fantasy partner of Major League Baseball. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitments. Why wait until the end of the season to claim victory when you can win huge cash every day? Hurry to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code PARDON to play for free. You could win part of the $300 million in prizes being awarded this season. Enter PARDON for free entry now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
Pardon the interruption, but I'm Jason Whitlock. Wilbon has the day off, so I'm excited to host PTI with a dear colleague who's always had my back, Tony Kornheiser.
What, we couldn't get Levitard? What? How did this happen? Oh, Jason.
I saw Simmons
so good
on
to
this
see you.
show a couple of weeks ago, and I was very disappointed.
With what?
I saw Simmons on here in my seat.
Yeah, but here you are today in Simmons' seat.
Oh.
You're just taking over. You're going to be here day after day after day after day. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Nick Saban apologizes. The U.S. soccer team gives up another late goal, and Tiger's jet is spotted in Augusta. But we begin today with Jameis Winston making 102 throws in his pro day in Tallahassee. We're not grading it here, but presumably the Tampa Bay Buccaneers saw nothing to drop Winston from their number one perch. Bucs coach Lovie Smith has said, quote, I realize he has made some mistakes. We think that's behind him, and that's why we feel comfortable, unquote. Jason, do you think Winston has truly grown and learned, or is this just spin and wishful thinking?
It is wishful draft thinking. That's all it is. And that's not me lighting up Jameis Winston. But Jadeveon Clowney came into the league known as a guy that gets injured. He got injured. Johnny Manziel came into the league known as a guy who wasn't very mature. He proved to be immature. I don't think there's anything that Jameis Winston can do between now and the draft to disprove what we've seen in the past, and that's a guy who's not very mature and sometimes shows behavior that says he's not very bright either. So I don't think he can fix that. The only thing that's going to fix that is playing on Sundays and playing well and staying out of trouble.
Would you take him number one if you were the Bucs?
No, I would not take Jameis Winston number one. Just like with Manziel, I think the questions about his maturity are way too strong to put him as the face of your franchise, as the leader in your locker room. I would not make him the number one pick.
I think it's very possible that he could go the rest of his life without getting in trouble. I think that's very, very possible. That's not why Tampa Bay is going to draft him. It's total wishful thinking on their part. They're looking at a football player that they want, and they are hoping that he doesn't get in trouble again. But he's not auditioning for the Boy Scouts here. He's a football player. That's what this is about. That's why Tampa Bay wants him, and that's why they will spin this to make it seem like they believe in him.
When you say he's not auditioning to be a Boy Scout, that's true, Tony, but the NFL, through Roger Goodell and their personal conduct policy, you do have to operate as a Boy Scout.
But if he never gets in trouble again, then there's no issue here. Look, there are people who get in terrible trouble like Michael Vick. And then we look at Michael Vick a couple of years later and we think maybe he's really changed. Maybe he really has learned and gotten more mature. Then there's people like Aaron Hernandez getting a little bit of trouble. Then next thing you know, they're on trial for murder. You don't know how it's going to work.
And the thing about Michael Vick that concerns me, Michael Vick had to hit rock bottom before going a different direction. Jameis Winston has not hit rock bottom yet. That's why I'm concerned about his off the field. Tremendous talent. His pro day, I'm sure he looked good, completed all the passes. But until I see the questions answered about him personally, I'm not sold. Tony, Alabama football coach Nick Saban is in some Roger Goodell-type trouble. Saban met with the media yesterday and refused to apologize for bringing defensive tackle Jonathan Taylor to campus. Taylor had a rap sheet before arriving in Tuscaloosa. While at Georgia, he was arrested for theft and later 2 felony counts of aggravated assault. He spent a year in junior college before Saban decided Taylor could fix his broken run defense. Taylor has now been arrested for assaulting a woman in Alabama. Tony, does Saban owe us an apology?
Well, you're going to have to tell me how this works first. You're going to have to tell me about the responsibility of the University of Alabama here. If I understand this correctly, Jonathan Taylor is awaiting trial right now in Georgia for domestic assault, felony, thought to be strangulation, attempted strangulation. That sounds very serious to me. Now, when you go to the school and you say, we want to let this person in, Alabama then has to prove to me there are other people on campus awaiting trial in other jurisdictions for felony assault. not just football players. If there are other people on campus like that and that's their policy, then I would let Jonathan Taylor in. If that doesn't happen, it's just football, there's no way I ever let him in.
Hold on. It sounds like you're transferring blame away from Saban and saying other people at the university should
I'm saying that Nick Saban is a football coach. He's not an ethics professor. He's not in the chemistry department. His charge is to get football players. And if they let this guy in to give him a second chance, and by the way, the moment this happened again, he's gone from the team. I think Saban owes the people involved an apology, but I think in trying to get football players, that's sort of his job. I put more of it on the school. You don't?
I don't, because Nick Saban knows, and you and I know, he's the most powerful person on that campus. He has more leverage than the school president and any chancellor they may have and any booster that they have. And so Nick Saban holds that power. He used that power to get this kid on campus who had theft. He had 2 problems at Georgia, theft and then assault, aggravated assault. I think that, again, I'm all for second chances, but this does fall on Nick Saban, and he should. I agree with him apologizing for the way it turned out, but he also should take some responsibility.
We've had 2 stories in a row where you've taken the side of being harder on people than I have. I'm just keeping count. I'm just keeping count. 2-0. We have breaking news on Tiger Woods in Augusta. Well, not actually Tiger Woods himself, but we have a report from the Augusta Chronicle that Tiger Woods' private plane has been seen in Augusta. Now, airport officials would not disclose whether Woods had arrived on said plane, but really, who cares? The quick buzz was that Tiger was indeed preparing to play in next week's Masters tournament. Jason, do you want to see Tiger play in the Masters no matter the state of his game?
Yes and no.
Really? You don't want to equivocate on that, do you?
I love Tiger Woods. He makes me watch golf. But he was so bad the last time that I saw him. I was embarrassed, so frustrated. It ruins my weekend when Tiger plays poorly.
Well, you don't really have to worry because sometimes he doesn't make the weekend. He's out by Friday.
But I'm still depressed. Tiger affects my emotions. When he plays poorly and when he becomes this disaster, it makes me depressed. So please, God, if he plays, let him play well.
Yeah.
I don't like watching Tiger struggle. It's sad.
That's the great jeopardy. The great jeopardy here is if he plays and he doesn't make the cut or he just withdraws because he's so terrible. Now, the Masters is a very limited field. If you can't scrape it by at a course where you've won 4 times and make the cut, I'd be very, very surprised. There's 30 guys playing in the Masters that can't play dead, so they're not a challenge to him. I think this isn't hockey to me, Jason. He's healthy. There are no healthy scratches in golf. He's Tiger Woods. It's the Masters. He's won there. It's a major. I think he's got to try to play, because if he doesn't play, people are going to actually ask the next question, which is, will we ever see him again?
Listen, I think we've reached a point with Tiger Woods that might be similar to the point we reached with Mike Tyson post coming out of prison, and we kept waiting. Oh, this is going to be the fight when Mike Tyson comes back and shows
and then he just bit someone's ear off.
And he never did.
That's right.
And that's what I'm afraid of with Tiger Woods.
Do you ever want to see him again at all? Doesn't he have to get out there? Doesn't he have to prove to himself and everyone else that he can and can't do it?
I'm afraid he's going to bite Rory's ear, and we'll remember him for that more than his greatness.
How great would that be?
I don't want to see
that. That'd be so great. He bit his ear.
Tony, within days of his long overdue firing in Texas, Tennessee has snapped up basketball coach Rick Barnes.
Who shot at Rick Barnes?
Barnes is one hell of a recruiter, Tony. He's coached LaMarcus Aldridge and Kevin Durant, 2 of my favorite players, and 2 terrific college point guards, DJ Augustine and TJ Ford. All that talent resulted in 1 Final Four and 1 outright Big 12 title in 17 years at Texas. Tony, good move by Tennessee.
Well, I certainly think more highly of Rick Barnes than you do from that lead-in. Let's get to the alternatives. Okay, the coach they had last week is going to NCAA jail. They had to get rid of him. He's not going to be allowed to coach again. They get a guy now who was born within 200 miles of the campus, whose wife went to Tennessee, and who made the NCAA's 16 shots out of 17 seasons at a football school, just like Tennessee. Texas is a football
money
school.
Like on their basketball program, like it was football, but
he made the NCAA 16 times. If you look at the last 17 seasons of Tennessee, they made it with their collective coaches, some of whom, like Bruce Pearl, were very, very good. They made it 10 times. So I would say Rick Barnes is an upgrade.
Making the tournament is not enough. It's not what it used to be. And so he needs – listen, I've watched Rick Barnes with a lot of great talent. underachieved.
How many years did T.J. Ford, he went to the Final Four with T.J. Ford. Durant gave him 1 year. How many did Aldridge give him?
I think Aldridge gave him 2 years or maybe one. I can't remember. But still, Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony went all the way to the championship game, won a championship.
He had good players around him.
I understand it. Texas has had very good players around him. They got a kid going pro early this year. He's had plenty of talent. John Calipari's taking young guys to the championship year after year. Mike Krzyzewski's doing the same thing. There's no excuses. There's no pity party for Rick Barnes.
I think that if the fans had their way in Tennessee, they'd like to see Bruce Pearl back, but that wasn't available to him. I think that Rick Barnes is a fine coach. Again, knows how to negotiate at a football school. If you look at the SEC now, Ben Howland just came in. Pearl came back. Barnes is good.
Go get a 38-year-old unproven guy and let him make his
Why?
name. Because that's better than a retread who you already know. Even with
Rick
some
Barnes
of the
would
best
not have been a
talent.
retread if he weren't fired, because 16 times to the tournament out of 17, I think is pretty good.
From afar, it looks real good. Up close, not so good.
The governor of Indiana has pledged to move quickly to alter the language of his state's recently passed religious freedom bill to make sure there is no permission for Indiana businesses to discriminate on the basis of sexual orientation. Clearly, the governor is aware of the backdrop of the Final Four this weekend and wants to keep a discrimination storyline out of that coverage. Jason, you have strong feelings about this, don't you?
I have very strong feelings because, Tony, you hear that silence? That's silence from athletes all over the country, current athletes who have said nothing about this. Now, we've heard from Charles Barkley, we've heard from Reggie Miller, we've heard from Pat Hayden, we've heard from teams and organizations. But the athletes that stepped out here because Donald Sterling got overheard saying some inappropriate things to his mistress have said nothing about this. This is policy. And what we need to understand, policies like this eventually come back to haunt black people like me or potentially Jewish people. Discriminatory policies, that's what we need to be fighting against.
I agree with you. I mean, I see a lot of people with a lot of T-shirts and a lot of slogans.
Yes.
And I haven't seen any so far with this. I'm sort of concerned when you get social issues like this, when you get same-sex marriage and you get the legalization of marijuana, you're going to have different states apply different laws, and different states' Supreme Courts will interpret the law differently. So I think we're headed for federal law, and I think we're probably headed for Supreme Court review of federal law, because you can't have this. I was rocked by the reaction, not by athletes, but by businesses. The CEO of Apple came out and said this is terrible. The governor of Virginia said to the businesses in Indiana, come and relocate in our state where we don't have discrimination. And a lot of Indiana businesses think this is a terrible, terrible thing.
Listen, I don't want to sound like some old fuddy-duddy.
Like me.
But I'm about to show myself, because I'm glad that adults and real people understand the importance of this, and business leaders understand the importance of this, because I'm worried that too many young people don't understand the difference between policies and your feelings being hurt and emotions. Policies is what we need to be fighting against. The emotional stuff, the hurt words, we can recover from that. But policies have real impact.
Let us take a break, but coming up, they face each other on Saturday. Who would you rather play for, Coach K or Tom Izzo?
And who would you rather have on Saturday, Karl Anthony Towns or Frank Kaminsky? Toss-up is next.
You know that in toss-up we're supposed to disagree here and there.
Yes.
But you don't know what I'm going to say. What did you say?
Baseball season is here at last, and the excitement continues all season long at DraftKings.com, the official daily fantasy partner of Major League Baseball. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitments. Why wait until the end of the season to claim victory when you can win huge cash every day? Hurry to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code PARDON to play for free. You could win part of the $300 million in prizes being awarded this season. Enter PARDON for free entry now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
The game is tossed up. The winner is this guy, the opponent, irrelevant. What's first?
Toss up, they play on Saturday. Who would you rather play for, Coach K or Tom Izzo?
Right from the top, let me say that I could give you the first choice. I would happily take who you didn't take. In fact, I could add Wilbon to this, make it three-way, and add Rick Pitino and take the one who was left over at the end.
John Calipari?
Him too. But those guys have been to more Final Fours than he has. Since Tom Izzo has become a head coach, he's been to 7 Final Fours. In that period of time, Mike Krzyzewski has been only to 5. But Mike Krzyzewski has been to one more championship than Izzo. He's got one more than he does. So by the narrowest of margins, I think that tilts me towards Krzyzewski.
By the narrowest of margins, I'm going to go the other way because I need to protect my street cred. If I go to Duke, I'm known as soft. I'm a suburban kid. If I go play for Izzo, I'm a rough, tough Flintstone. I still protect my street cred. I got to have a little street cred.
Is that still true with Duke after all these years and all these great players and all these championships? Is that still true?
Absolutely.
Really?
Duke is the soft. It's for the tough.
My daughter-in-law is a Dookie. She's a Dookie.
Your kids would go to Duke.
Next, I would hope.
Toss up. Which big man would you rather have on Saturday? Karl Anthony Towns or Frank Kaminsky?
Okay, I'm going to assume that on Saturday that Bo Ryan is going to double-team Karl Anthony Towns, which Mike Bray did not do. And I'm going to assume that cuts into his offense a little bit. I'm going to pick Kaminsky because I think he's all you can want in college. He's averaging 19 points and 8 rebounds a game. He can shoot threes. I think he's harder to defend because he works both sides of the basket. And so and Towns is great. Towns could be the overall #1 pick in the NBA draft, but I'm going to say Kaminsky.
Kaminsky by a landslide. He's a grown man. Towns is a kid who is overvalued right now because he played against Notre Dame, a bunch of short kids, and Zach August, who isn't physical enough to defend him. Everyone's a little too high on Towns. Potential talent there, but not what we saw against Notre Dame. He will get handled. I'm not saying Kentucky will lose, but Towns will get handled by the grown men that play for Wisconsin.
Well, Kaminsky, the thing about he's a senior, so he's not going to panic. A freshman might panic. Senior won't panic. Next.
Toss-up more likely to instigate something tonight, the Warriors or the Clippers?
Yeah, both these teams dislike each other, and they say so. Draymond Green of the Warriors has been particularly mouthy about Doc Rivers and about Blake Griffin ever since he felt he got bumped by Dante Jones. But I don't think the Warriors are going to instigate it. I think if anybody does, it's going to be the Clippers because, one, they're at home. Two, I think that I know they're not as good as the Warriors, and they want to prove they're more physical. And I just think that they're a very sort of chesty team, and they're going to want to do this.
Yeah, the Warriors have the #1 overall seed locked up in the West, home court advantage throughout. They don't have anything to play for. And the Clippers, yes, they're going to resort to doing something silly and stupid because that's what you do when you don't have the talent or the strategy and the coaching or the overall quality to beat a team. You try to take them out of character. So I fully expect the Clippers to do some things and try to muck up the game.
Did you just slam the coach as well as the team?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Boom. Just boom.
And I like Doc Rivers, but a little overrated.
Next.
Last one, toss-up, better play. Andrew Wiggins' dunk on Rudy Gobert or Gobert's block on Wiggins?
Okay, both these plays come within 30 seconds of one another. First you get the dunk, and then you get the block. Wiggins makes a very nice dunk, though he pushes off to create some space. It's a nice dunk. My feeling is that the offensive player in a dunk situation always has the advantage because he knows when he's going up. The second play is far superior. The block is far superior by Gobert.
Completely disagree with you.
Well, okay, that's why I'm going first. Because in the block, especially since he's just been sort of humiliated, it is sweet revenge to get that block.
The block was luck. As I've always said about Canadian basketball players, they're the toughest, the greatest players that we have in the NBA. Yes.
Would you like to wave the Canadian flag later?
I love Canada. I love Andrew Wiggins.
Really?
The dunk is incredible. I've always said
love Nick Stauskas too. You love
I've always said Andrew Wiggins would be far better than Kevin Love, and that the Cleveland Cavaliers should have kept Andrew Wiggins. I love Canada. I wrap myself in the Canadian
Didn't you rip them last time?
I love Canada.
Okay,
that's all I have to say.
That's it. You all saw it. Big tree fall hard. Let's take one last break, but still to come. Did Josie Altidore's red card cost the U.S. a win in Switzerland?
And Bob Kraft takes a stand in the Aaron Hernandez trial. I bet that was fun.
You know, you can tell it was Bob Kraft because he had that blue shirt with the white collar.
Where's the same thing?
Is it the same shirt or does he have multiples? What do you
probably
think?
has multiples.
And the red top. Happy time, people. Happy 87th birthday, Gordie Howe. Last December, after a series of strokes, Howe's family literally prepared his eulogy, fearing he was going to die. But after stem cell injections in Mexico, Howe made a remarkable recovery, and today he went fishing with his family on the occasion of his 87th birthday.
Why is the best medicine in Mexico? What are we not doing here in America? He had to go to Mexico to get well?
Mr. Hockey went to Mexico, and now he seems to be much better. Happy anniversary, John Calipari. On this day 6 years ago, you became Kentucky's head coach. Here's how Calipari has done in 6 seasons. He's made the Elite Eight 5 times, the Final Four 4 times, including this year, and he's won a championship. And today his coaching peers voted him Coach of the Year.
I am a huge Calipari fan, love him, but I'm rooting for Wisconsin. I feel weird.
Happy trails, Josie Altidore. The U.S. striker was ejected from a friendly in Switzerland for screaming obscenities at the ref. And once again, the United States blew a lead late, as is their habit, giving up a goal after the 80th minute, and came away with a 1-1 tie against a country with 1/40th the amount of people that we have.
Who or what's more overrated, Josie or American soccer?
I don't think American soccer can be rated anymore because in all of these games they give up goals late. Josie Altidore, I guess, is good, but you can't scream at the ref. You can't yell obscenities at the ref. 2 clarifications for Whitlock. LaMarcus Aldridge spent 2 years at Texas, and it's Tuscaloosa, easy for me to say, not Tuscaloosa, which you said.
We're now correcting pronunciation.
That's the way it is.
Did I even pronunciation?
This is a tough show. We go straight to the big finish. Bob Kraft testified today at the Aaron Hernandez murder trial. Your thoughts?
I feel bad for Bob Kraft. Who thought being an owner would put you in the middle of a murder trial? Derrick Rose returned to 5-on-5 practice today, and Taj Gibson said he looked great. You buying it?
I'm not buying it, but Wilbon is surely buying it. If we get a part of this show where Derrick Rose is well and Taj Gibson is praising him, nobody in America is happier right now than Michael Wilbon. The Ravens signed Matt Schaub to back up Joe Flacco. Is that a good choice?
It's a horrible choice. They got Keith Winning from Ball State on that team. He should be the backup quarterback.
He is your boy.
Kevin Durant reportedly had successful bone graft surgery today. Reason for optimism?
Look, every time somebody goes in for surgery, they tell you it's successful. The last surgery Kevin Durant had, they said was successful, and they went, oops, wasn't successful. This guy's career hangs in the balance. I hope for him, but his career hangs in the balance. Last one, NIT semis tonight, Temple, Miami, Stanford, Old Dominion. Who you got?
I got Temple for John Chaney, and I got Stanford because Johnny Dawkins was brought there to go to the Knicks.
Not Old Dominion with Jeff Jones? Really? We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And I'm Jason Whitlock. Same time tomorrow. Check out the Undefeated.com.
Fat Pete's Barbecue in Cleveland Park in D.C. who catered today. Thank you very much. You liked it, didn't you?
Awesome.
ESPN Radio, bringing you directly to the biggest events in sports.
Center field, well hit, Hunter back, out of here!
From opening day of baseball,
Go to the plate, safe at the plate!
right through the World Series.
For the 3rd time in 5 seasons, the San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
Whether it's LeBron, Chris Paul, or Kevin Durant, when the NBA tips off, ESPN Radio is right there when a champion is crowned.
We have a new world champion. The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
And when the magic of bowl season arrives, ESPN Radio is your home for the new college football playoff.
The college football playoff first national champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
The biggest events in sports can be found right here on ESPN Radio.